A warm welcome once again to the High Performance Human podcast. It's your man, Andy, here. And I feel almost privileged to be sat opposite you, my friend. Bernard Desmond is the founder of Blank Financial. He works in the mortgage and financing services. I've known you I think I've known you 8 years now, I think it would be.
That's right.
And there are very, very few people that you just know are destined for greatness. And the best part about Bernard is the fact that he doesn't come across as it. You just know. Mate, you've got this aura. I've always thought this. You've just got this energy around you that just makes people like me think, fuck, this guy's going to go. This guy's just going to do whatever he wants to do.
Thanks, Andy.
It's insane, man. You know, you're a tremendously humble guy, but the growth that you have had over the journey of your business has been just so spectacularly impressive. And yet, despite the car, the house, the stuff, the exposure, the attention, this lad right here has been absolutely unwavering in who he is from day one up to this very, very day. Mr. Desmond, thank you so much for joining me on the High Performance Human podcast. How the devil are you?
Thanks, Andy. It's a privilege to be here. And thank you for the kind words. It means a lot to me.
Mate, the pleasure is all mine, man. It is absolutely all mine. FYI, team, for those of you that are watching the video, you can see that I've got a little beanie, a little bee beanie on my head because you are the first person that I've branded for. You are the first person that I've branded for, man. Blank Financial is Bernard's creation, and I remember him talking about this when he was putting it together, and he was putting all the bits and bobs together, and he was talking about how he was and his visions for it and all this sort of stuff. And we're going to dig into some of that on today's episode because, team, the journey, and this is going to sound a little bit cliche, but the journey that this lad has been on almost makes it inexcusable for a heck of a lot of you when it comes to doing what it is that you want to do and achieve in life. All right? So pin your ears back and take plenty of notes. All right? Now, my friend, for those people that don't know who you are and who bloody well should know who you are, give us a bit of a genesis, a bit of an elevator story as to your trip that's got you to this point so far.
Thank you for the opportunity, Andy. It's a privilege to be here. My name is Bernard Desmond. I'm the founder and CEO of Blank Financial. Been in Australia for 12 years. Family man, married, 17 years, 2 beautiful kids. And I live with my 2 kids, wife, and my mom in Mornington. So what I do for work is home loans. We help people realize their dreams, help them buy houses, whether that's their first home or their 10th investment property. We've catered to every single individual, helping them go on that journey of home ownership.
Team, that is like the shortest version of what is a very, very storied trip that this guy has been on. So where are you from originally?
From originally born and brought up in India.
Yep.
So lived in India for 21 years. So studied, born, educated in India. And then 2004, I scored a role to go overseas to Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the beginning of my working journey that started. I never started in banking.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know about this. I started in logistics, working in a warehouse.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what, in Dubai?
in Dubai.
Why'd you go over to Dubai?
So
Just the opportunity?
I was always aspiring to do something better for myself.
Yeah.
Obviously, growing up in India, I wanted to just run away far from my parents.
Right.
So I just wanted to do something on my own.
Yeah.
And I saw this opportunity to go overseas to Dubai, which is not too far from India, probably
Nah.
3 hours by flight.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, this great opportunity's come my way. Let me go and explore it. And that's how I started living out of India. And yeah, it's been, 2004, we're 20 years out of on this journey, which I'm still discovering about myself.
Yeah. Oh, mate. Like, there's so many questions I want to ask you. It's not even funny. Team, there's going to be a whole load of stuff that we're going to go through in terms of not just his background, but his mentality towards life, let alone business. And there's some of the stuff in there that will serve you tremendously well. Now, Bernard, I always ask this of all of my guests. I have this belief around high performance. There are 4 elements to it: success, connection, influence, and happiness. And they're a bit of an ecosystem where one cannot survive without the other. Interested to know what your version of high performance is, because honestly speaking, I don't even think sometimes that you even know how high you're performing.
Yep.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it is a fair statement. I think my definition of high performance is, look, I'm not a surgeon, I'm not a pilot. What I'm doing is home loans. It's but what I realized that I'm in the business of serving people. I'm always curious. I'm as curious that I was 7 years ago when I started the business that I am now. So for me, high performance, or the definition of high performance, is doing the basics regularly and doing it consistently. Just simple things like answering your phone call, smiling when you're talking, just respecting people, doing the right thing by people. If you we all come across a lot of opportunities throughout the day. I'm not going there to sell on every opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm going there to serve. So when I'm going there to serve, I think people resonate with that.
Yeah.
And that served me a long way.
Yeah. See, the simplicity with which you operate, and one of my favorite quotes of all time, Da Vinci's "Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication." You are almost a model example of that, because all you've basically said there is, I'm nice to people, I smile, and I just do basic stuff.
Yep.
And it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that either, does it?
No, it doesn't need to be. I mean, people love simple stuff. People love when they are treated well. People love it when you're going to serve them with the best interest, and you don't have any hidden agenda to sell them something.
Yeah.
So, I think we're all in an experience economy. We're all serving people every day. The sale will automatically happen if you serve them every single time and every single interaction that you have with them.
Team, a lot. I've had. I mean, now Bernard is a tremendously intelligent individual, right? Incredibly sharp, incredibly aware. I've had a lot of people that I've had conversations around high performance with really try and think outside the box when it comes to what it is and how it's represented and all that sort of stuff. But you are such an amazing little lesson for everybody in the understanding that if you do right by people, people will do right by you.
Really simple.
Why do you think it is that simple for you? What is it within you? Because you could have, when you talk about opportunities, I'm sure you would have had so many chances to essentially complicate your life with opportunities and deals and businesses, all sorts of stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What is it within you that manages to maintain that level of simplicity at all times?
I think keeping it really simple means, just knowing what you have to do. For us, let's take work. In work, the more people I have a conversation with, the more sales I'm going to have. So if I'm not putting myself out there, like I've only been in Australia for 12 years.
Yeah.
And out of that 12 years, I've been in business for 7 years. So I've not been here for long. So I was not born with these networks. I
No.
do not have these networks.
No.
I've built it, one day at a time, one customer at a time, one referrer at a time, So it's about putting yourself out there, connecting with people at a human level, just, being curious about, hey, what is important to Andy? How can I be memorable in an interaction that I have with him?
Yeah.
What value can I give to him? So it's about just knowing, what is the community that you want to serve. For me, I was really clear. I wanted to be the go-to person for real estate agents.
Yeah.
If a real estate agent is thinking of, referring a home loan, I wanted to be that brand or that person that comes to mind. So I really worked hard on my craft to understand, hey, what are the problems that I can solve for a real estate agent? Rather than going and asking them to give you a lead, I was trying to solve a problem for them.
And that's something for your notes team. The understanding, like whatever your purpose is, chances are your purpose is influenced, or kind of half its definition would be the solving of an issue or the solving of a problem, right? You have a purpose based on something that you either don't believe is right or something that you want to have become right in the world, essentially. And that's something that you really need to pay attention to, because a purpose without a problem, it gets really difficult to find the energy to actually keep carrying on with your purpose, right? Yeah. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, if you don't have a problem, I think I love problems. If an agent comes to me with a problem, hey, this buyer, the finance has fallen through, I cherish that. That to me is an opportunity to showcase my talent, because somebody else has not been able to do it, So that's where you can become memorable.
Yeah.
And that's the experience then you leave and walk away with. That agent will always remember that this deal was a dead deal. Bernard's or Blank has helped me to bring it back on track.
Yeah.
For that customer, they had also given up hope and they thought it was not going to happen.
But you've saved several asses with your efforts and your...
And then you celebrate that after that. Once you've delivered on it, you celebrate it with them,
And I think that, mate, that's a bit of gold right there, gang. That is absolutely for your notes. We forget to celebrate sometimes.
Yeah.
How many times, and I'm massively guilty of this, how many times, team, do you achieve something or you reach a significant level of something and don't give yourself a moment to celebrate?
Yeah.
I'm so guilty of that shit. Like, it's not even funny. And it's weird, right? So make sure you follow Bernard on his social handles and what have you, because you will see on there that you can be mistaken for thinking he's a flashy bastard, but he's not. He's really, really not. He's just celebrated the work that he's done and the efforts that he's put in, and the efforts that his wife has put in, who is by far and away the better half, by the way, and celebrate the efforts that they've done together in raising their kids and raising their family and supporting each other and all this sort of stuff. And they've celebrated that with an environment, a home, a car that just makes them happy. I mean, I'm sure, mate, if it wasn't, if your most favorite car ever was a Ford, like a Ford V8 or something, chances are you would probably be ending up driving that and celebrating that, right?
Yep. You need to have your cup full. I mean, when you're happy internally, you're going to radiate that to everyone that you come in touch with.
100%.
Whether that's your customers, your staff, your referrers, your family, if you're happy and your cup is full, I think, it's important to celebrate, There's no point, like I'm 41 this year. I'll be 42 in a couple of months. We're all, I think I'm already halfway through life. and the rest half that I've got, I want to enjoy that
Yep.
and leave this world with memories that I'm proud of. My kids can enjoy for the rest of their life. A business that first generation that I've built, which can carry forward with my kids, and so they don't have to do it the hard way like how we've had to do it. Yeah. So.
Make sure that your cup is full, mate. You're coming up with all sorts of little one-liners at the minute, man. My social media team's gonna have a field day with this episode, I tell you. Now, you are an inherently happy person, and team, if you haven't seen his smile, make sure you go find a picture of it. He's like literally one of the best smiles, and I told him that years ago when I first met him. He's got one of the best smiles ever. When do you get angry?
I do get angry. It's quite common for me to do that.
What makes you angry?
When I've let myself down, or when I've not been able to. There's things that upset you. Customer service. Like, I'm really big on customer service, and when I see that we've dropped the ball on certain things that we could have done better, I do get angry. But I think as time's gone, I've learned to channel that energy in a much better way, and not lose my shit. And I do have a very close inner circle that I reach out to when I'm not feeling my best.
Right.
So my mom, my wife, I've got a few close friends, handful. I know a lot of people, but there are very few friends that I can reach out to, and I know if I call them at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night, they'll be there. So we all have challenges. It's just what you do with it.
So how do you process your anger? If something pisses you off, or if you've let yourself down, or you've let a client down, or what have you, what's the sort of internal process for you? Because there's so many people that get derailed, even a little bit. Even if it's just for a moment, they'll just get derailed just a tiny bit, or some people get completely derailed, right? So how do you process anger and setbacks?
Great question. I think now, with having a number of years of experience, and knowing that people are looking up to you, you can't keep doing stuff to just show your emotion. So I think the first thing that I do is not react. Just take a couple of minutes to just take it all in, as to why this has happened, and what can I do to make it better. And then learn from that. What can we do so that this does not happen ever again? The last thing you want to do is have a situation happen which is not in line with how it makes you feel, but not learn from it, so that keeps repeating. So just take feedback. Things happen for a reason. Learn from it, and just don't react instantly, because your instant reaction is probably not going to be the best reaction.
Now, when you came into the studio, one of the first things that you said was that you are just so tremendously grateful every day.
Yep.
Do you ever get ahead of yourself and lose sight of that sometimes?
No, I'm as a person, I'm quite conscious of who I am, and where I come from.
Okay.
So what that, I've not lost even for a minute. Hey, I came to this country with nothing in 2012. It was me and my wife, with 2 bags and a lot of aspirations and hopes to build a better future for ourselves. So I've never lost. So I'm always grounded that what I have today is, I can't take it for granted. I have to work even more harder to justify that. So the house is, I'm not entitled to anything, because I think I'm just humble that I have those opportunities in this life to live this life and to provide it to my kids and to my wife and to share it with my wife and my mom, and really enjoy this, like, so I'm always, like, I come from not a wealthy background, Andy. Like, I come from a humble background. I lost my dad at a very young age, and I've had to build this over a period of time. Sometimes even I think to myself and reflect, hey, like you said, we celebrate the wins. We reflect back and pause and say how far we've come. But we don't get complacent with how far we've come. If we've come this far, how far can we go from
okay.
here? What's next? If I've been able to do this in 10, 12 years, what can I do in the next 20, 30 years is what I'm aspiring. And that keeps me going, because every day, if you are getting up, you're grateful, you're serving people. In my line of work, we're dealing with, loans and a lot of regulation and, tight pressure situations. I'm grateful for the job. Like, I genuinely enjoy what I do.
There's a couple of questions that I want to ask off the back of that. The first one is, you mentioned that you never forget where you came from, and you talked about then how you lost your old man at a young age.
21 years old.
21 years ago. How did that affect you, like, in your outlook? Like, I mean, like, I don't want to pry, so please tell me if we're going outside the realm, but from your point of view and the background that you've come from, obviously your parents are, the significance of your parents cannot be understated, right? With the cultural background that you've come from. Losing your old man at a young age, how do you think that affected you? And particularly, what were the things that changed in you from that moment that you think has served you well today?
Yeah, I think 2007, when I lost my dad, was a defining moment in my life. Like, my literal life changed overnight.
Were you close?
Yeah, I was close. I was very close to my dad. He was a good friend. And we had spoken the night before, and he was complaining of back pain the night before. And I said, because I was in Dubai, he was in India. I said, why don't you go and visit a doctor? So next day, he goes to the doctor, but never comes out.
Wow.
So I was close. At that point in life, 2007, I did not have many commitments. I was a carefree individual who was exploring life and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Little did I know that, suddenly my father's not going to be there. My brother is 7 years younger to me, so he was still in college, and he was 15 when this happened. My mom's never worked in her life, so just picturize this. So I'm the oldest in the house. The family bread earner is my dad. He's no more. My brother's still in school. He's never worked. My mom's never worked. And suddenly you become head of the house.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it was a bad situation that made me the person that I am. I could have gone two ways. I could have, I chose to go this way, which is do something with myself, take some risk, get out of my comfort zone, and pursue a career that will afford me a higher income so that I can support my family, my brothers, my mom, and provide to them, as the eldest in the house. So it was a defining moment. I think from that, I've never looked back. I've just had really good focus that no one's coming to save you. You have to do it for yourself.
What you mentioned there about the fact that it's a really interesting little part to your story, this, because for a lot of people, things like that, This is where I think this is why one of the things that defined you, to be honest. I think a lot of people that would be dealt that hand, shitty hand, would go down the track of, right, I just need to do what needs to be done. I'll fall into line, essentially. As the head of the house, I need to fall into line to be the breadwinner. I need to get a job. I need to and conform to that role, right?
Yep.
The thing that strikes me as so tremendously different about you is the fact that your version of that was, right, I knew all of a sudden I was the head of the house, so I then knew that I needed to take risks.
I have to.
See, that's something that a lot of people don't do when they're faced with adversity. When they're faced with adversity, taking a risk, a lot of the time, is the opposite to what they end up doing.
Yeah, but look, I did value, hey, I'm at this point in my professional career where I'm working in a warehouse. I've got, only a certain amount of dollars that I can earn every month because it's a PAYG salaried role. There's not going to be a sales incentive or there's not going to be a performance bonus. So I knew that something had to change. And for me to do that, I had to make the change. No one was going to do that for me.
Yeah.
So I was not, I've never been, I didn't study banking and finance. I chose to go in banking and finance because that's what I knew the aspiration was, to get into a line that was better than where I was and get out of your comfort zone to learn a new trade so that, in a year or 2 years, that risk will pay off. But I was super hungry. I was super curious,
And you've said the word curious a number of times in this episode. So do we think that natural level of curiosity within you as a human being led you to become more willing to take a risk as opposed to the conformity? Because in all cultures, there's a degree of conformity that a lot of people have sort of pressured to sort of fall into line, shall we say. But I think that curiosity within you was the thing that allowed you to see the opportunity within the risk, as opposed to just, conscripting to or resigning to your fate, shall we call it?
Yeah. I mean, look, you have to put it out in the universe. And at that point, I still remember working for just think about it. Like, I'm working in a warehouse. Who's going to give me a job in banking? Leave alone sales. Leave alone selling, home loans for, the ultra rich. It was a process. I got out of logistics, got into banking first. And it so happened that I ended up scoring a job in mortgages. Not as a salesperson, as a sales coordinator.
Yeah, okay.
For a sales manager of a bank. So I was really good at, reporting, Excel sheets, doing all that, admin work. I was really good at that. And that got me into this admin function within the bank. So now I'm in the banking system, working and observing what other people are doing. And because I was working as a sales coordinator for a sales manager who was leading a team of salespeople, I then saw the other side of things where I was exposed to where, guys are coming in, real well dressed. They're coming in the morning for a sales huddle, giving their commitments, going up the whole day, having lunches, coffees, and then they're coming towards the end of the day and saying, okay, we've sold all of this.
Oh, I've worked really hard today. Yeah.
And at the end of the month, I'm doing, I'm this coordinator who's doing all these commissions for these sales guys. And I'm like, oh, okay, how do I change this? Like, how do I shift from coordinator to salesperson? So I started staying with one of my friends who was a salesperson, and we used to share a room in Dubai. So while I'm lying in bed, he's lying in bed after a long day, and I'm asking him, hey, how do you do sales?
Yep.
How do you get customers? What's the kind of conversation do you have? Who's giving you business? Why are they giving you business? How do you go and close it? You know, I was not taught sales. I wanted to learn sales because I knew sales will provide me the opportunities that I need to support my family.
Yep.
You know, so that curiosity, constantly asking questions, then allowed me to take the next risk, which is, you know, telling my manager, hey, I want a job in sales.
Team, like if you want a stepped path to follow, you can do a lot worse than follow this guy's path. Understanding that you've got to pay your dues, I think, which is something that we haven't mentioned so far, that you've done like ad nauseum. You do have to pay your dues.
You have to.
And
I mean, when I first went for this sales role, my employer at that point said, "Hey, you've never done sales," and I said, "Yes, I know I've never done sales, but give me an opportunity. I'll be your best salesperson." I went with conviction that I just need an opportunity. So just picturize this. This is 22 years old Bernard, 20 years ago, lot more hair, you know,
Well, you did
and a
all right.
lot more energy,
Yeah.
you know, just saying, hey, just give me an opportunity. I will be your best salesperson. And the guy looked at me and said, listen, you're on, you know, I was on 8,000 dirhams, which is, you know, the local currency in UAE. He said, I can't pay you 8,000 dirhams in sales. Given that you don't have any experience, I'll give you an opportunity, but you have to take a pay cut. I'll give you 5,000, but there is unlimited opportunity to make money if you did what you're telling me you're going to do. What did I do? I grabbed it.
Now, I'm going to go a little bit 90-degree turn with this, because there's something off the back of this little part of the conversation that I really want to ask for your opinion on. Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas that are coming through into the workforce, right? And the bottom, you could say bottom half of the millennial generation as well. One thing that is becoming rather prevalent in the younger part of society is the lack of ability to stay the course on something, right?
Yep.
The impatience of wanting success tomorrow because they saw it on Instagram today.
Yes.
Right? What is your opinion on how we as leaders, that as people of the generation above that these guys look up to, so it's our responsibility.
Yep.
How do you think we need to communicate the need for perseverance and whatnot better to these younger generations that are coming through? Because you are a picture of perseverance, right? You are. Everything that you do is just lined with perseverance.
Yeah.
And as a result, you've got all the things that lots of people can only dream of.
Yep.
How do you think we can convey the need for perseverance and loyalty to a purpose to these younger generations a lot better than what we're currently doing? Because at the minute, all we're doing is shitting on them from a height, saying that, you know, you don't know how to work.
Yeah.
How do you think we can do that better?
I think the fact that you can't outsource hard work. You have to put in the work. And when I say you have to put in the work, it's not, don't expect the rewards to come overnight or in 6 months to 1 year, because you're comparing someone's 20 years of work and wanting that in 1 year. You know, that, you know, like today, life's afforded me these opportunities, but there's been 20 years of work in the making. There's been a lot of work. You know, like to give you an example, after living in Dubai for 10 years, almost 10 years, when I came to Australia in 2012, I had to restart again from the bottom of the barrel. You know, so it, you know, the mortgage broking job, the sales role did not just land because I had already done sales in Dubai. But over here, when I come to Australia, I was again dealt a hand saying, hey, you don't have any local networks.
Mm.
And I tried to reason with a lot of recruiters and employers, say, I never had those even in Dubai. I was in India. I went and built it over there. So I've now come to Australia. I'm 30 years old. I've already shown you my credentials. I've done it once. I can do it even over here. I just need an opportunity. And no one was willing to give me one.
Mm.
You know, so the first job that I ever did in Australia was working as a personal banker for Westpac, where I was taking 2 trains to get to work and then walking half a kilometer uh, from the train station to my workplace.
Mm.
You know, the first 1 year in Australia was probably the hardest because by then I had already tasted success. I was already established in Dubai.
Right.
And to come here again and to do it all over again was hard because I was out of my comfort zone. And, you know, I was just not getting I was not even getting interviews.
Was there a time where you were thinking to yourself or saying to your better half, fuck, we've made a mistake here?
The whole 6 months, the first 6 months, I wanted to just leave and go back.
Yeah.
And my employer in Dubai had mentioned to me, hey, just come back. If things don't work out, just come back.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to pack up and go back to Dubai. But, you know, look, you put faith into things. You keep trying. You can't just sit and be victim. You have to keep applying. Like I was not getting the interviews, but that didn't stop me from applying. So I kept applying, you know. And the way I got my first break was in the most unorthodox way one could get a job. You know, I was at a induction at Westpac at 360 Collins, which is where, you know, Westpac Group does all their new inductions for new joinees. And they do it, you know, every couple of months. So they bring in everyone who's joined the business. They'll bring in every 6 months, and they'll, from everyone, all parts of Melbourne, and they'll conduct an induction. This was almost 5 months into me being with Westpac. And as we sat in that boardroom, everyone went around the table. The moderator said, okay, let's just introduce ourselves as to who we are, what we're doing, and where we've come from.
Yep.
So I'm listening, and the girl across from me said, I worked at ME Bank. I used to be a branch lender. ME Banks decided to shut all branches, and they just want to do mobile lending. Mobile lending is basically, you know, home lenders.
Yep.
They're going to people's houses and helping them with home loans. So I'm now a personal banker at Westpac. That's my dream job. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I went to her in the break and I'm asking her, hey, that didn't suit your lifestyle because you didn't want to do after-hour calls, and she was a mom of 2 kids and blah, blah, blah. I said, I love that job. Who's hiring for that role? Is your role been filled? She said, look, I don't know. There's been a lot of changes over there, but there's this guy called Mark Wilson who's joined, and maybe, you know, reach out to him. I don't know which Mark Wilson, but she did tell me Mark Wilson's joined from CBA. So all I knew, walked away from that, was Mark Wilson, CBA, has joined ME Bank, and he's the guy who's looking at hiring.
Right.
So then what I've done is I've gone out and again written every single combination of email. M.Wilson, Mark.Wilson, Wilson.Mark, Mark at ME. So corporate email addresses are pretty standard.
Yeah.
They're either the first name dot surname or the first name, you know, and you can put 2 and 2 together. That's what I did. And I sent out an email to him with a very detailed summary in the email. I literally telling him, give me a break. Just give me an interview, you know. And that's how I received my first interview call.
The tenacity that you're talking about here, and the willingness to not give up. Or it's not the willingness to not give up. It's the desire to want to get ahead that I think is probably a missing ingredient for a lot of these people that are using impatience as a reason or as an excuse to not stay the course on something, right?
Andy, I believed in myself. I knew I was meant to be better than what I was doing at Westpac.
Yeah.
That job was not giving me the satisfaction. It was paying the bills. It was a job that was bringing in an income, so it allowed us to rent a house, get our first car, and do all those things. But it was not the end goal.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had to keep trying. Like if I stayed at Westpac, in a year, 2 years, I would have become a lender, but I wanted to get there quicker. So I kept trying,
Yeah.
and there someone's then giving you an opportunity. And that was the turning point in Australia in 2013 when I scored that job. I became a mobile lender, so I was doing something that I loved. It was an opportunity for me to prove to myself that I can do it over here.
Yeah.
And then, slowly things just fell into place. 2013, I got that job. 2014, my son was born. 2015, Bella was born. My mom then joined us in Melbourne. I was able to send my brother to New Zealand to study. But I was enjoying my job. But even while I was doing that job at ME Bank, my end goal was, in my head, I was like, yes, I was employed by ME Bank, but in my head, I was already visualizing mortgage broking,
Right.
being self-employed. These customers that I'm serving at ME Bank, will they give me an opportunity if I went on my own?
Yeah.
Building a network. I didn't have a network, so I was building referrers. I was building networks over here with people that, hey, who could then, rely on you and give you an opportunity because you've served them for that 3-4 years while you worked in the bank. I was ready to become a mortgage broker when I landed in Australia itself.
Right.
But financially, I was not ready to take the risk because I was the head of the house. I had too many people dependent on me. So I could not just go and, become commission-only salesperson, mortgage broker with no networks over here. So I had to go the course. So I went through 5 years of, building my skill set, my network, understanding how things work in Australia, how mortgages are done over here, who are the influencers within, who's influencing a customer, who can I go after? And then eventually I became a broker in 2017. But I was aspiring to become a broker since 2007 when I got into banking.
So it was 10 years before you even got into that position that you have been visualizing.
That you were able to, line up all your ducks in a row
Yep.
and say, okay, kids are born, Lavinia's looking after the kids. She's now, she goes back to work in a part-time capacity. So there is some level of security from a job perspective, and then you've got some savings, so you can put that aside and say, okay, now I can go all in.
Yep.
And it's game time.
Oh, man. You're a story that just... when you talk about it, it sounds so straightforward. And it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. You've put in the graft. You've been consistent in wanting to get ahead. The reasons for you wanting to get ahead have stayed consistent as well, which is another big thing.
And even today, like I can't rest on my laurels that I've done this and I've won these awards and I've done these settlements and these customers will just keep referring to me, or these agents will. You still have to stay relevant. You still have to constantly nurture those relationships.
Yeah.
I till today prospect every single day. Like I call, 2 or 3 agents every single day, not from, just say, hey, give me a deal. It's about, hey, I'd love to catch up with you. This is my business. This is where I'm, find common grounds, get introductions, go and see them. It's a process, So if you, like for me, sales is really simple. A lot of people complicate it. If you can meet 2 new people every single day and you do that consistently, That's 10 people every week. And you do it over 48 weeks, even if you take 4 weeks of holidays, you've seen more than 500 people. If you do that consistently, there is no way on earth I can put money on it. You will be successful. Just go and meet more people. Tell them what you do. Tell them how you can be of service. Don't just go with an expectation. Hi, I'm going to meet Andy now. I have to walk out with a transaction or a deal.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Does not happen.
100%. Now, before I ask you my final question, you are a very human-focused individual. Obviously, the way that business is going, it's becoming way more automated and so on and so forth. How do you see people being successful in the future, bearing in mind, and this is a little bit of a loaded gun question, bearing in mind that that technology is really starting to, well, I say starting, it's exponentially having more and more involvement in society these days.
Yeah.
How do you see success down the track?
I think, you have to stay relevant to your customers. And we've got an ability to, the human connection. Nothing can replace that. No technology can replace that. Like, I'll give you an example. I was just planning a holiday for my wife's upcoming birthday.
Yep.
I could go and do it online. Okay? But no online is going to talk to me and give me feedback on, hey, do this. This is what I have done. Experiences. So I did my research online. There is spaces that you can do online and digital and AI and all of that. But then I was always waiting for a validation. And yesterday I went to Flight Center, as traditional as it sounds. And I went there, I walked in, I knew what I wanted, and I was getting that validation from the other person. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is an experience that I want to provide for my wife on her 40th birthday. What are your thoughts? Have you been to Bali? Have you done this? As I walked out from there, I walked out with, things that, who I could call over there, who could take me around, things that, this person has done while she's been there, I don't think so. We can, technology can complement us. It can't replace us. Especially in our line of work in home loans, I think, most people making their biggest financial decision, it's probably the biggest thing, most expensive thing that they're ever going to buy. I see it every day. It's not broker market right now is 74%. So one in, seven, out of 10 people, 7 people are using brokers. I think in the next couple of years, this will head to 95%. Because it's becoming more and more complex. People want to be known. Like, my customers love it when I call them with their name. I know their kids. I know what journey they've been on. I know what their goals are and their aspirations are in the next 10 years. We've been on that journey together. They've been able to see the growth that we've had as a business. You can't take that away. Technology can't take that away.
I love that. I love that. What a great way to round this podcast off. I love that. And you're spot on. You're spot on. Tech is there to complement us, but ultimately we get to become more human more often.
It will make us more efficient. So, the way I do home loans right now, what I did, 7 years ago when I started, it's totally different. The experience is different. You have to embrace digital and make it simple and easy for your customers to transact with you. But you have to still be, personal.
Yeah.
You still need to have that interaction with
100%.
people.
100%. Now, you've got some serious aspirations coming down the track, mate, as always, and you will you will achieve them. Of that, there is no doubt. But one question that we always ask, the last question that we always ask our guests is, in your pursuit of what the next level of high performance is for you, what is the one thing that you think is missing from your game, so at this point, that you're going to either need to work on or gain in order to get to where you want to be next?
I think being physically fit is something that I've ignored. over the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Because other things became priority,
Mm-hmm.
and work, establishing yourself in a new country, making sure that you're doing enough to bring in the dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That was the priority. So along the way, somewhere I've ignored my health.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've realized you need to be at your best health to be able to operate at peak performance.
Yeah.
And as you get older, genetically, I'm not blessed with, conditions that I might just, if I didn't do something about it, they'll catch me pretty quickly. So,
Yeah, okay.
I think my focus from here on is to just literally get, yes, I'm business fit. I'm not, health-wise, 10 out of 10 that I would like to be. So
Yeah.
that's my goal for the next 1 year, to
Yeah,
work on
nice.
myself.
Nice, man. Bernard, Desmond, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence, man. Like I've mentioned at the top of the show, you've got an aura about you that is undeniable, and it's a joy to share in that. So thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. And it's been an absolute pleasure to sit and chat with you and just go down
Finally.
memory lane. Sometimes, even, we get so busy. Like I've enjoyed this conversation, just,
Yeah.
reflecting back. And there were points while I was talking, I was getting a bit teary. So, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Mate, thank you so much. Team, plenty for your notes. You've got to follow this guy. And he is an open door policy. Like, reach out to him because he loves meeting new people. Until next time, my friends, stay safe, healthy, happy. Have yourselves a wonderful day in whatever it is that you do. Look after yourself, each other, and we'll speak to you again soon. Take care.